Welcome everyone. I am honored today to welcome my friends to the circle of nomadic family of series of medicine woman, medicine man that is connected now with whispers of the nature of the land, whispers of the land that before was memory of the land, and I more and more understand why. And I cannot wait. We are on this beautiful land in Scotland, and Leila, my friend and guest of the sharings, will gonna tell us more about it. And I am a founder of Nomadic Heart Art Medicine, Ishna Creation, and we are just sharing our wisdom and process of healing and honoring the Mother Earth and Pachamama, Pachamanita. So, my love, would you like to introduce yourself? Who are you and and where we are?
Where are we?
And what is behind us? This is a secret.
Well, I'm Leila. I'm gonna go with that because I'm using two surnames. At the moment, I'm in a transition between my married name and my maiden name. I'm a herbalist, and I got to meet Asa when we were studying on the shamanic course together. So, yes, magical connections and spiritual connections. And yeah, my biggest journey and connection to land as through the plants. And my interests have been in the medicinal plants and also edible plants. And I find that I just love the plants that are growing out, and abundance that's out in nature that Mother Earth has for us. And it just, wherever you go, I find to find my friends there, my allies, just brings joy to my heart.
And also we're gonna show you in the end, maybe, because we have, or maybe we can just show like that. We have behind us Leila, because you just moved here. She just moved here like lovely source in December, and
That's it.
yeah, that's it. And she started working straight away with the land, and she created her its own medicine wheel. And she gonna say her understanding about the medicine wheel, was it teaching her, because in shamanic tradition, but not only, medicine wheel is big part of that is really connected to the land, right? And our
It is.
personal healing. Often when we open the space for prayers in shamanism, this is the tradition that we've been studying. We call the spirit of the south. No, yes, south, east, west, north, above, below, and the center. And each tradition, depending, from where it's coming, there's different way of prayers and opening the space. But before we actually start praying, we open the space that is part of the prayer. So medicine wheel is a big part for me. And when I saw this medicine wheel, and when we spoke with Leila briefly, before even knowing that the sharing will gonna happen, we just discussed it like a few days ago, less than 1 week ago actually. But there was the needs of meeting, and connection is still alive. So that's why I was really touched hearing that she's actually deeply working with the land. And she said, oh, I have a little project I want to share with you. I was like, oh la la, okay. So I need to go and see what she is actually doing. And just so I'm very touched. And so you can a little bit share like from where we began, my love, how the journey began.
How did the journey begin? What, here in my garden?
But before garden, like
Before the garden,
like
my herbal medicine.
Yes, and from
Okay.
herbal medicine, how because there's like so beautiful that you actually connecting shamanism and herbal medicine together. It's
Yes.
open more space, and I feel because there is a very in holistic practices there is also divine. Very often divine the spaces, and I feel like the calling is like to really bring us together and share the knowledge and wisdom. That's why I'm very open to meet people from different traditions, and it's so inspiring that you bring that herbalists and shamans together. And now it's something beautiful, kind of like it's in process of reburning, right? And after that we can come to sharing your own personal healing as well, and then we can speak about this piece of beautiful land that is still unknown for Leila because she's like very few months here, right?
Yes, only a
And
few
about
months.
the medicine wheel and whatever it comes, and the beauty and the wisdom of the plants as well,
Yes,
and your love to Mother Earth.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
step by step.
Well, it's funny. It's I had earlier on been saying about at beginning and being in my teens, but actually it goes deeper than that. I remember going on just a walk with a school when I was in primary school, and we were going for a walk to use the swimming pool of the high school, and because we were walking and end up walking through the trees and this lovely track, and I remember reflecting to myself that I actually was the happiest that I'd ever been at school was on that walk. Anything else didn't. That, and it really struck me how important being connected and being in nature was to me. So that was at primary, when I was in a primary school. So I was a young child at that time, already realizing that I was happiest when connected with the land. And then many years later, I was in my teens. I was in a religion, and I was in France, and one of my other school friends' father took us on a long walk and did a herbal walk, and he was showing us different plants. And I just remember looking at especially when he was talking about a plantain and shepherd's purse, which were just tiny little plants. They were not even grown to their full potential. They were just little rosettes on the ground. And he was telling us about so many uses for them. And I just looked at them like, these little plants, and they've got so much potential and so much about them. And that's where I really started wanting to learn more. And it took many years and many adventures where I went wanting to learn herbal medicine, thought I would go down organic horticulture so I could get to organic gardening so that I could then get to learn about the herbs, which didn't happen. The universe said, no, that's not the way for me. And then I even went down following the route of looking at aromatherapy, and then I started going towards homeopathy. And it was the more I was learning about homeopathy and finding that there were remedies that were made from animals, and some of them live animals that are put in. And I was like, what am I doing here? I've always wanted to learn about the plants. Why am I going down homeopathy? It's plants, and that's what is the most important thing to
So
me.
in herbalists, you just only work with the plants. With homeopathy, you also have the
Animals and minerals and
I didn't
all
know
sort
that.
of things.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, maybe I forgot.
Yes.
It's like
So
it
they
makes
will.
sense.
So with
Yeah.
homeopathy, they'll use the thing that it was when I read it was about live spider. They put
Wow.
make a tincture from using a live spider, so the spider will drown in. And I was like, I'm a vegetarian, and so my background of not causing harm just was so strong, and I was just I can't go down this path. So I pulled back and was like, okay, with absolute conviction, it's herbal medicine and there is no alternative. And it still took many years until I was pregnant with my youngest daughter. And there I was like, I want to use some herbs for my labor. So while I was pregnant, I was like, I'm going to search out. So I asked at a health food shop if I could get some herbs, and they went, we don't have those herbs, but we could give you a phone number of a herbalist. And I was like, oh, yes. So when I phoned up the herbalist, I told her that I wanted these particular herbs for when I went into labor, and could I also become an apprentice?
Okay.
So we met up and she said, okay, once your baby's 6 months, you can begin training.
Amazing.
And so I went on, and then later I ended up, she was saying, well, with the laws that were happening, that one would need to do an accredited course. So I looked and I studied with the Scottish School of Herbal Medicine, and I was drawn to it. I had not enough schooling, so not enough qualifications. So with there, I was able to do the introductory course, and that would allow me to get onto the course as an avenue. So and the other that I liked, that they also brought in doing massage as well as part of their course, as to be a way to really get to learn about your anatomy.
Amazing.
It was amazing. And there, I love the training. We were very lucky with the herbalists who taught us, we were introduced to the herbs without knowing who they were. So we were brought in a tea or a tincture, and we then were given a little bit, and in a group we would take time to smell and look at it, and then talk and share what we would find from that, to then when you take a mouthful, you would actually feel it in your mouth before you were like analyzing the full flavor. But it's like, what imprint, what's the first flavor, what's the first, how does it feel, are there any reactions of your body to it, and then swallow, and then where in your body you will feel it.
So it's all sensational journey, right?
Absolutely.
Feeling, smelling, like tasting, all of that awakening.
Absolutely, your senses and your
Senses,
body,
yeah.
totally to that interaction with the plants.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yes. And then when I started doing that, it was like we'd have that experience, and then I would be having to research up to do my monographs, I would be like, okay, how do I get those connections and bring them together? So eventually I ended up doing the tasting again and go into the connection with the plants, and then I would open my books to read, and with the experience that my body would be feeling,
It's interesting.
the information I would read I would be picking up stuff that I might not have picked up before, because I was feeling
it's already embodied.
it was embodied, right? As well as
and knowledge. Yeah, that connection.
Yes.
And also, like when we was on the walking, you also mentioned me. Because like, please tell me about, like, that's how it's began. Also, you mentioned about your journey with the Hare Krishna temple and how it was impacted with the.
Well, that was with the person who did the herb walk.
Yeah, so she was part of
He was
part of the
journey. And then, but then when I train, you look back and I go, my mother also used lots of herbs.
And your roots are in Africa.
Yes. So I was born here in the UK, but I grew up in Africa, so wild, and I when my mother would say, oh, do you know that plant is edible? So I wouldn't eat my food off the plate, but if she told me a plant was edible, I wouldn't be eating it. So I've always had this, been drawn to wanting to be able to live off the land and be connected to plants. And
so it feels like from a little child there was some recognition.
Yes.
Deep recognition. And today Leila took me for a walk, and she was like really in her element. I was just walking. She was fast, and she was like, oh, this and this and this and this and this and this. I was like, and then the stories about the plants is so amazed that, and there's a lot of knowledge, because for me even I don't remember the names and stuff, and to recognize actually, because some of the plants, they can be toxic for our body as well. So it's big knowledge and big understanding as well, and to really embody it, as they have also medical
uses.
Uses, yeah.
And even though And then some plants that have their medicinal properties,
Uh-huh.
but they're also suitable for foods, so you can eat.
Yes,
And so
exactly.
it's wonderful. I find that
Mhm.
amazing too, that you
Mhm.
can have your food and it's your medicine. I mean, perfect example, nettles. So your stinging nettles, and that's
Yeah.
such a wonderful food, and it
And
nourishes the blood, and it oxygenates the blood, and it vitalizes you.
and you
And
also doing this like using this for your dog, for yourself, right?
yes, yes,
That knowledge that and you can see that
absolutely,
that is improving.
absolutely,
But you also
absolutely.
welcome the conventional medicine as well, in
And
some
no,
way.
yes, absolutely, it
Yeah.
has its place. Though
Mhm.
I,
Mhm.
I personally, I shouldn't be saying this. I have resistance to lots of it. I have had bad experiences
Of course, of course.
with the medical
Mhm.
in my teens, and I had so that I have a very strong
That,
headstrong side of me to use herbs as much as possible for myself.
yeah, I
Um,
understand that.
yes.
Mhm.
Though I do respect, and I know that conventional medicine definitely has its
And
place,
also,
and
as a herbalist, you need to know history of someone's, right? So you can direct,
absolutely,
and if they take medication, that there is safe, and because
absolutely,
there is a
there
procedure, self
there are
procedures,
things.
right?
Yes, there are like
Mhm.
herbal drug interactions you'd need to consider. So, like St. John's wort is one of the ones that one has to be
Mhm.
careful of,
Mhm.
because the St. John's wort actually works and stimulates the liver for eliminating things. And what happens
Wow.
is that because it eliminates things, there are certain drugs and even the contraceptive pill that work, that if they eliminated means that they're not going to be getting the full medicinal, the full effect of
Yes,
things.
and this is another thing. Like as a herbalist, you have a lot of like medicinal knowledge because you need to know like what is,
Yes.
like not everything, but it feels like it's huge knowledge, not
So
only of the
knowledge that
herbs
one,
but also anatomy and the body, and
yes.
it's like never-ending process of learning and exploring and still connecting with the plants.
And then from my training with our tasting and stuff,
Mm.
we also were looking at energetics. So
Energetics.
yes,
So
so
what is
not
the
so
energetic?
you're not just then looking at the medical
Uh-huh.
stuff. So you'll be going, okay, you have two people or three people who may have asthma, and depending on their constitution, it will express itself in different ways.
Wow.
So you'll have people who will have a dry
Mm-hmm.
irritation,
Yes.
like they are irritated by hot weather and
Mm-hmm.
sort of things. So they will, um, for them, you have to think about, well, that's their constitution. You'll have someone else who actually is better for being like in a desert conditions, but other people
Yes.
might be better off in the damp sort of environment for their
Mm-hmm.
sort of their conditions. So, and that's part of their constitution, depending on the makeup of their body. So when you're doing your history, you're actually also trying to look at patterns, like what conditions they have, not only for the medical sort of history, but you're also looking for patterns to see what's how things express. Like, does a person get tonsillitis? Do they get, whenever they get a cold, do their tonsils swell up?
Yeah.
So then you go, okay, there's things like patterns like that, but you're also then looking at, are they having tonsillitis, cystitis, um, uh, my brain that's so gone. But the words with the itis means inflammation. So then there's
Okay.
heat.
Because I
So
didn't
then
even know what does it mean, so I was like,
itis.
okay.
So it's tonsillitis. So it means there's inflammation, and
Uh-huh.
inflammation of tonsils, inflammation of like the bladder, and
Mm-hmm.
so you look at, and then you'll go, oh, that's inflammation. Means there's a lot of heat there.
Yes.
So then you need to be helping to reduce the heat, and so you then need to know then there's like the herbs that are bitter, they are cooling. So you will use something like that
Yes.
to help to cool down and taper down that heat. And then if someone tends to have stomach cramps,
Yes.
so they get spasms. So then that's an indication of dryness and cold, sort of thing. So then you're looking for warming, soothing sort of
Uh-huh.
herbs that will work on that. So not just like whether they are antispasmodic and stuff. If you're looking at constitution, so you're looking for
Patterns,
patterns
yes.
that you look on a person's
And you know,
thing.
it's very interesting because now I think it's good moment to also, because in shamans there is a lot of patterns that we go to ancestral, past life, ta 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 ta. There is another connection, right? There's a lot of connections, and
Oh, they are.
and also I would like to ask you, like, how does it happen that your like interest and calling
To go to the shamanism.
to welcome shamans into your life,
No.
like as a herbalist?
I know.
Yeah.
Well, there's a varied story. As in, I grew up in Africa, and there you will have sangomas, which are the spiritual healers, and depending on the name that they have, will determine whether they just do spirit work or whether they do herbalists, and so you have all the different things like that. So obviously, I was aware of that, and I had witnessed things there. So it's quite interesting to have that.
So you went to Africa to witness the
Oh
tradition?
no, I had
No.
when I grew up, I had witnessed it. So like there was a neighbor of ours, and my older sister and I ended up there when they was a Sangoma was doing one of her ceremonies, and I was a child at that time. So it's interesting that things already happened there. And then of course I had gone down the route of being in a Hare Krishna temple, so I have this pulling towards looking at things from a spiritual side of an aspect of life. And when I went down to actually do the training, I had a lot of change happening in my life. My marriage broke down, and there were things happened with my children, and so it all brought up triggers that I didn't know about.
Yes.
And so I ended up bringing up things that, yes, I had never actually looked at and
Very
dealt
painful,
with.
right?
Very painful. Lots of painful stuff, yes.
And like quite because we know with Leila, quite. We went through also. We witnessed our healing process, right, on the
Yes.
shamanic journey through, like holding the space for each other as well to receiving, and the wounds are quite big, and especially when it's touched not only ancestral healing, right,
Oh,
and all of that,
lots,
because we
yes.
carry like a lot of that.
Definitely seen, and there are things there that even just last year I was like with my sister in South Africa, and there before I got out there I had spoken about things that one of my daughters writing had written, and she was like, her children have written the same sort of things. It's like as if they've come off the same script, and that makes you realize that that's where it's also an indication of ancestral, traumas and stuff, patterns that are there, that things can be passed on through your generations to your children and your grandchildren and stuff, and that actually by working on the healing for yourself, you're actually helping to change things for generations, for 7 generations. That
Yeah.
it's
This is
behind
what
you,
we've
and,
been told.
and that's what
Yeah.
we've been taught, and 7 generations before you. But it's the fact is that by you working, you're facing, you're going open up all these can of worms, and it's having to learn to have compassion for yourself, for the journey, for the things that happen, and understanding and seeing these things that have happened, and then like even though you still get triggered, like I still get triggered by things, but now I didn't know about the word triggered. I didn't know about those things. I've learned so many things. So though now if I get upset, if something upsets me, I'm going, oh, okay, this is obviously touching on the part. There's still some, there's areas there that are still raw. There's still tender areas there. There's still wounds there, but I can acknowledge it. Whereas before I used to go, oh my God, what happened?
Yeah.
This must have happened. This person must have done that, or that must have happened, or
But like coming back to, like, you think because of your childhood you get in, because there's many, there's psychotherapy, there's this therapy, this and this. You choose for your own personal healing shamanism, right?
Yes.
And then after that you decided to do the practitioner, like, because first
Yeah, if I hadn't done the shamanic, I would not have asked,
But also-
looked for help at other places.
Yeah, but no, but also, like, why you choose shamans, or shamans choose you, like, as a way of, like, you
Yes.
recognize that you need a support.
Okay,
yeah?
well,
It's like
and
journey, like,
yes, I that, but also it was, I had when I had known of in Africa that if you're going to be a sangoma, they say you are going to be called to it.
and you will be called
so,
to it.
and you will be called to it, and that's it. So it can be like you can get serious disease or something, like where you can't, you almost will not live, function, and fit in society unless you actually do the work.
Yeah, that's quite common.
It is a very common one. For myself, I kept on going, well, how will I know if I'm going to be called? I don't know. I don't have it. I have nothing there to be called. And I when I studied herbal medicine, I heard about the people doing shamanic plant connection. I wanted to do it, but I thought, I'm presuming. I'm absolutely presuming. This is obviously, I haven't had the calling. This would just be wanting to do it because I think it's a wonderful idea. So
and
I
other
didn't.
people doing, right? It's always
Yes,
like
so-
that.
so-
The ego side,
so-
like, playing
yeah.
with us. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I just thought, nope. It's obviously I haven't got what it takes to go down that journey, and then when I was had a business mentor for my herbal practice, and she had told me there was a shaman who was doing an evening session event, and I was like, okay, do you know what? I'm gonna go and I'm gonna see what it's like, and as soon as I walked in, I just felt so much joy. I just felt like I wanted to sing and dance, and I just felt so happy in that space, and it made me then feel like, okay, the next time I had heard something, I'm going to want to do something. And then when with the stuff that I was having to process, I had been walking out in nature. I'd been connecting with stones. I'd been connecting with feathers. I was looking at them, like I kept on finding heart-shaped stones and beautiful stones, and so they were helping to bring me out of myself, out of that depth that I was, where I actually was in such a bad place that I couldn't even connect with the plants. So like if I was walking, I wasn't even able to connect with the plants at all.
So
And so with my herbal practice
Because
and
of the
also
wounds.
because of the wounds and all the stuff that was happening, I was in such a dark space. So by walking, I was then trying to bring myself out, and what I found was like I would think of something that would actually be an avenue for me to bring the plants in some way, and it was almost like the thought of storytelling and how or creating something, and then I would like suddenly find a stone, and I was like, and my imagination was caught, and then as a result, through it, I was brought back to looking at the plants around me and starting to connect with the wildlife and the plants, and my healing journey went there. And then when I decided, okay, I want some healing to help me, and I would like to start training to find out. It was the Edinburgh Shamanic Centre, and their
very beautiful place.
yes, and one of their courses was called the Featherstone Healing, and I was like, well, it's the feathers and the stones that have been helping me. I definitely have to go and do this course with them, and it's been amazing. It's been powerful, but it's It's been
It's
an
a,
amazing journey.
I'm happy that you say, because to recognize that calling, because sometimes we might feel like this is imagination, this is not the sign, and we wait for like pure sign. Sometimes we even don't know, because recognize the calling, it might be not that easy.
Yeah.
And sometimes we think this is the calling, and we find this part of the journey that takes us to this place where actually our journey is begun, or like where we are empowered enough to
Yeah.
really step in, right?
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for you to sharing, because like there's a lot of and we spoke that with Koa, that there's a lot of shame as well, and normalize trauma. We need to normalize trauma and speak openly
True.
about traumatic experiences and wounds that we carry. And there's different ways to, like, as part of the shamanic healing, is like soul retrieval, in order that we retrieve part of our souls. But it's now there is many different healing and many different traditions, so we are very open-minded souls, and we will, and doesn't need to be shamanic, like, as well. There's also, we
Yes.
see the huge purpose of healing of the land, and this is the whispers of the land, how much the land itself can teach us.
Oh, so much, so much.
Like the
And
sound
I mean,
frequency,
I know
and all
you
of
give me,
that.
and you give me credit for my connection of shamanism and plants, and yet I still feel like I'm on baby steps, just baby steps there. It's just that I love my love of the plants, and I'm so grateful of what I've learned from them. But in terms of, I always feel like as if I'm just not getting there, because I still blunder. I still am like that toddler who goes and then go, oh no, I should have been more mindful.
Because you are very humble, my soul. You are very humble, my sweet miss. It's true, that only, like, because I think that the plants has that, not all of them, because sometimes, they also have its own territorial, yeah.
That's
It's
true.
like
That's true.
the
I mean, the
trees and
nettles will
stuff,
sting you.
exactly. But mostly they are very humble and very giving.
They are.
And they
give.
also find a way to protect. And it's like we tried to touch the roses, and we couldn't. Yeah, she was like
but
that.
I know, and then eventually I managed to pick one.
Yes,
And
exactly.
then it was like it kept on going here, and I'm going, no, you can't reject. I can't not pick a rose, because rose has been such an important part of my healing journey, and I have come to really love rose so much.
So, what Rose teach you, and what
A
was the
rose-
story, like, of your
Rose-
healing journey?
Oh, rose is there as unconditional love. It's been the flower of love, and it is definitely has a reason that it was given that term, the flower of love, because it is about unconditional love. And when I was
So it's a huge question, like, if we're receiving the roses from a gentleman, it's like, ooh, what you say? So unconditional love, ooh, I like it.
Oh well, it was amazing. When I was a student, we had one of our in a clinic. We had one of our patients, and we had quite a lot of progress, but there was like a certain turning point, which was almost like an energetic sort of turning point that she was needing. She was stuck, and rose was put into her medicine, and when she came back the next one, she said, I don't know what you did, but I just felt like as if I had been hugged.
As you've been hugged.
Absolutely. Absolutely, like as if you'd been hugged. And rose, which is amazing, because it has those thorns of protecting itself. Like, you have to be careful going in. It has those boundaries that you have to, and that's, you're gonna really tear yourself to bits if you go in. So you have to, and yet the rose itself is so delicate within, and so
Especially the
beautiful,
wild
and
roses,
the smell, and just so amazing.
And and also we often do that, like, healing process. We also create that shield around us, right? It's very interesting. Like, sometimes we need that, and we sometimes recognize that, actually we are overprotecting ourselves, and we are not allow opportunities, people to come in.
Yeah, but it gives you a safe. Rose actually cushions you. So, and I had, when I after I qualified, and we had one gathering of herbalists, and rose was the herb
Uh-huh.
that we did for our tasting there, and we had different preparations. So we had these beautiful, like the roses, and they were mostly women, and there was a husband of one of the herbalists there, and it's like, oh, and he was like, and all the women went around hearing him enjoying meeting this rose. And then we had this amazing, there's this lovely tincture. There's one producer who makes the most amazing herbal rose tincture.
Rose tincture.
Oh,
Mm.
and
Yes.
it literally, it's like when you went to smell, it's like as if they were cushions. It was cushions of smell. It was it just
It's something bring that
amazing.
feeling of ecstasy, right? Natural,
Oh,
because you know when we drink the tea and stuff,
he
it's like
and his
natural.
and the sounds he was like, oh, you know, and all the women.
And this is amazing because actually the plants can do that to us.
Yes, they are
It's
amazing.
like it's like, you know, and it's like, you know, because we over sexualize everything, right? And to go to the healing process, actually embracing our bodies as
Absolutely.
experiences through that pureness, right?
Yes, and rose is like when you take it, it's like a hug. It's like a absolutely lovely, warm, comforting hug. And I one of my part of my healing journey is I ended up getting myself a rocking chair, and found that rocking on that chair there was that same sense of having rose. So I was then taking rose and also putting myself on the rocking chair to sort of to be comforting, and absolutely, yeah, I was needing and to feel
Held.
held,
Yeah,
to be held.
we often have that
Yes.
feelings, you know.
Yes.
And very often I found it like we carry a lot of memories from our childhood that unfortunately, because it sometimes, you know, you feel like I sometimes think unfortunately, but because the more we experience, the more we empower the gifts and the more we can serve as well. Because, you know, the more, you know, sometimes, you know, I'm questioning the things of suffering and you know, embracing how much I needed to go through to actually understand what is that feeling, right? And
Yeah.
but it takes life journey to actually embrace
Yes.
and to understand, and this is very fascinating that when we embrace that knowledge of the land, and you know, she also teaches us to be gentle, and this
Yes.
process is not fast. Let's be
Yes.
honest, it's sometimes will be as a herbalist, right? We work like it's not. It sometimes takes months.
Yes. Well, I mean, I just find the experiences I've had, and this is where I find myself, I need to trust myself because I almost don't give myself time to pause enough.
Pause enough.
Pause to just be and to know that I've already been shown so much of ways of also connecting. So like obviously I had my herb tasting from the training and
Yes.
how we did it, which was almost like a meditation of doing it, and it's really powerful. But there's one herbalist who's called Elizabeth Brooke.
Elizabeth
Brooke.
Brooke.
Yes, and she did connecting with plants with a meditation, which absolutely is amazing.
So we can also invite, because I know there is different way, and people like also like they do the like fasting through plants and stuff, and we can also invite the herbs plants for our meditation.
Well,
Yes.
for with her, what was absolutely amazing is we had to have our eyes closed and a sample of a herb being put in your hand.
The sample of your herb.
Of a herb put in your hand, so you wouldn't know what it was, and it was put in your hand, and then you just from what you feel and the sensations that you feel to see what, and then she had a meditation to do with it, to go and meet this plant.
So again, it's through the body embodiment,
by
just
holding, just holding, and I was like, there was so many ones that I've had powerful sort of things that I remember only little bits. I don't remember all the journey that you had for taking you to the points, but it's just how much you can learn just from holding a plant.
Exactly.
And so one was I had felt, and I was like, oh, I think so. My brain was coming in and going, oh, I think it might be fennel. And I was feeling, and I was rubbing, and I was going, and then I was going, this is okay. So it's actually, but I got this rubbing and massaging, and I felt, and I got massaging of the nervous system, kind of thing.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, I never knew this about fennel, but I was like picking. Well, it wasn't. It was oats.
Oh wow.
Holding oats in your hand, and
Oats, yeah.
oats. Yes,
Yeah.
and that it massages and soothes the nervous system.
Yeah. And also like it brings me to this: how often we actually touch ourselves, how often we hug, because we are
That's-
so like and
it's so
especially here, like
important.
some cultures is natural. South America, people hug,
Hug and
men,
absolutely,
like
it's
in India
absolute-
as well. I saw with the boys
Yes.
holding hands.
and
that is
it's such an
natural.
important thing. Your body responds
Uh-huh.
just
And
yes,
the way
that's
it's
it.
like we can feel it a lot, through the way.
Absolutely.
And I feel like also the plants can also
They feel us too,
like
and that was
animals.
that's
Yeah.
it. So I mean, there was always a thing where we used to, a part of even the tasting is like when they're saying eating the plants, when we do a plant study, and it would be like, I'm observing you, I'm looking at you, and you are
Looking
at me, and so you take that mindfulness of approaching to look and connect with the plants.
And also, did you like, because in one of our nature connection training, we also have like sitting spots. As a herbalist, you also use that, or you personally develop that connection, or did they
Yes.
teach you about
Yes.
sitting spots in herbalism?
Oh well, yeah. Well, with my training, because we did also to go and do a plant study. So there was a lot of Goethean science, which was observing the plants, and seeing, so having that sort of connection with plants.
So there's a lot of like in meditation exercises involved, because you are
as
like
well, because
patient, you
it's
build that patience.
to really interact. So I mean, I've had amazing, wonderful sort of experiences. I'm gonna say there's Nettle. I mean, Nettle, you're just standing out. Look at it, standing out. Like each one is standing out there.
I'm gonna show you
really.
what we are facing here.
The sun is shining because it's the evening sun, but each of them is standing out so powerfully and so strongly. It's just amazing. I had a shamanic journey, the first shamanic journey that I had with Nettle. Oh, it was. I had no idea, because obviously Nettle has its blood and energizing side to it, but I didn't know that it has its erotic side too.
Indeed.
It stimulates
Yeah.
the libido and that energy, that's calendar energy. It just it was that powerful that I was in a yurt, and the flap that was up at the top blew off.
Oh wow.
And that was just the energy of doing a shamanic to journey to be meeting Nettle. And then the next time I did, I had another which was just drawing with a different hand from the hand that you would normally do to
And
do it.
and also it's
and-
important to speak about this erotic side, because I also had experience but through plant medicine. And it's very pure as well. It's very
It is.
welcoming. It's a very secret place, and it's
Yes.
very healing embodiment. Also,
Absolutely.
because we can speak about tantra, all of that. There's like different understanding when you speak about erotic, and it's like now I'm one of my affirmation is like I'm gonna sexy blooming, because like the way I feel like there is an orgasmic feeling when I see like and I can see that when people start blooming.
Yes.
And I can see that there is some energy, and like attraction, all of that, and we very often have suppressed that
Yes.
energy and feelings. But for me, and I feel like that for you, it's very pure, very healing as well to welcome that energy, especially as a woman.
Absolutely, it's true.
You
It
know,
is true.
embodiment our body,
It is true.
like
Yes.
welcome.
Oh,
You
yes.
know,
Yes.
and feel it that
That's
you know
it.
the healing part. Yeah,
Yes.
that is taking
Which,
part
I
of
tell
our
you,
body.
well, the interesting thing is, there was with my training as a herbalist, when I began, I also took up belly dancing at the same time,
Oh, yeah.
which is, and I was like,
Exactly.
I was learning about belly dancing at the same time as learning about herbs. And when I got to my third year, I was like, okay, I've got so much studying to do that I can't afford to go to the classes anymore, because I can't afford to
Of
take that
course.
time. The moment I stopped going for the dancing, my brain stopped working.
Wow, it's very interesting
Yes.
how the movement is connected to
Absolute
the
movement was
yeah.
needed. I needed that movement because when I went dancing, I wasn't concentrating on my studying. So I actually gave my brain a break to just be doing something physically, the
Yes.
energy, and just focusing, and it's almost like a meditation of going in, dancing to music.
Yes, and this is where we're going to go, because it's so important. Like, you know, we need to move our bodies, right? It's so important to make
Absolutely.
the container. Also, in our shamanic work, we've been told like it's good to go to practical things. Our
Yes.
teachers, Mark and Claudia, always said like we always do practical things
As well. So as much
to
you don't,
process the container.
and also because if you spend too much time concentrating on the
Yeah.
spiritual side, you can be out of balance. So you need to balance it off by doing something physical.
And here we are. I'm so excited because Leila, you put a lot of work, and I cannot introduce this beautiful space, beautiful sauce we're gonna show you. It's called
And my medicine wheel.
yeah, medicine wheel. Oh my God, I will try to find a way to show you. I don't know what I'm doing. So we start with the
Well, here we start. Here is the east.
okay. I will try
In
to
the shamanic, from the shamanic, you go from the east where the sunlight is, and it's the beginning.
okay.
It's the beginning of things.
I will apologize for. I hope you can see because I'm just holding the phone in my hand. So,
Yes.
So this is
the east path. So this is the east path, which is the beginning, and it's the beginning. It's where it represents the childhood.
and this is what season of the because in medicine, what is that medicine represents for you, and from what tradition you take that knowledge to actually, and what is that inspiration to build the medicine on this land?
I know it's a thing of that I've had. Well, from our shamanic course, I have someone that I always feel like I need something tangible, and I like I need to create a sacred space, and I think that's part of from having been in the Hare Krishna temple, because obviously you would have an altar and you would have your deities, and that was the place where you had to go and you go with intention and you had to be mindful, and I find that I almost need to create this space to have intention.
So this is space for intention.
It's my space for intention, yes.
And prayers.
And so yes, so when I work on, and it reminds me. So when I feel like as if because a lot of times I can feel like I'm disconnected because I might get caught up in my head, and so actually getting here and having my plants, which are my medicinal plants as well, but also to follow the tradition of the Native American. And obviously I found that it's sort of, there's variations because the different colors, depending on which part of America with their colors for their medicine wheels. So we were taught of the East being like yellow.
That's true.
And then we had the South, which was red, and then we had black for the West and white for the North. But then when I have the medicine wheel to gardening book, we have the yellow and golds and oranges in the East, but then they go to blue for the South, which in some respects it's sort of I have not been able to make peace, and I suddenly have. It's suddenly gone. Okay, I think okay, water. So water does a lot of times get associated with blue. So I've got my blues in here. So there'll be flowers that we have blues.
And you put all like this physical energy into the land.
Yes. So yes, and it's like
And who is here?
these are my from when we had our warrior weekend. Remember?
Yes,
was our
shamanic, right?
Was it our and we were given our gifts?
Oh wow, this is the one.
These were the gifts I was given, and I was told they were my guides for my connection to the land and with my plants. So I haven't. This is the first time I've actually been able to create a place where I feel I could finally put them in to actually do that, because I've just carried them about and not actually being able to put them in and set the intention. So this has really been a chance to set my intention.
And
So here,
east, southwest. That was
yes,
southwest.
that's south. Here we are in west,
Yes.
and in the west, so it plants that have red. And I've then, because to have something for the black, I have got the plantain, and of course the plantain flower when it comes up, it's not so obvious there because it hasn't settled in properly yet. Whereas there is one, where was it? Oh, there's ones that are grown there. You can see there's black, but there's also a bit of white. So I've got reds, so things that will have red flowers. I mean, I've got pink as well. And a runner bean, which will has a red flower when it grows.
I'm sorry, I cannot show you very well, but I'm trying my best.
No, I did put in something here which has red. Well, it has sort of a purple, but it's also its seed pods are white. So the book tells you can actually mix if you want. So I brought it here because it's close to the to the north. Now here in the north side, I had this plant here which dandelion, which shouldn't really be here in the north because it's such a bright golden yellow
Yes.
flower. But there had been a place for burning stuff in the garden here before, and this dandelion was growing there next to a pile of stuff, and I had to then burn it before I could set my garden. So I felt terrible that the poor plant had been scorched by the fire.
Oh wow.
So I thought, no, for that sake, I'm gonna let you stay here. I'm not gonna remove you. And look how big and healthy it
I
is
know.
looking.
And Leila, how does it make you feel, like this impact on your mental well-being, and like feeling, the joy, happiness? How does it mean for you to work with the land, and how does it has impact?
Oh, I feel absolutely amazing. I feel inspired, and I just love to be connected and having my hands involved and being creating things.
It doesn't make alive.
Oh yes.
Feeling of
Oh,
aliveness.
it does. It certainly does make me feel alive, and I love it. And then what it makes me feel is that I come out and I really, because of the different plants I've been planting, I want to see how they're settling in, and that keeps me connected and makes me feel, they're my friends. So I'm so happy.
So when you connected with the nature, with the land, how does it happen for you? What it's it's through feeling. It's through.
Yeah, I'm very much a person of feeling, so definitely.
And there's also different ways of connecting, right? And communicating with the plants.
Yes.
And and for you, it's mostly through feeling, yeah?
It is. It's feeling and interacting and just being in their space, and that I find that, knowing, it's knowing that they give so much, no matter what us humans do, no matter what's destruction and whatever things is going on in this world, the earth still gives and gives so much. And And the thing I learned with my journey of walking in nature was that all the earth and nature wants is acknowledgement, to be loved back, just wants to be loved, and she gives, and is so happy then to give even more, and that all she wants is to be acknowledged and loved, and
And it's so privileged to be here, you know, and you know, I'm so proud of you because like you know, we just get out from the winter and I'm still like feel like I didn't do like, you know, too much, no planting, nothing. And when I came here I was like, whoa, you just came here in December and you this and this and this and this and this. I was like so amazed. I was like, wow, how much, you know, you can do it by yourself, right?
yes, well, I mean, there are things that I've obviously, things I've bought, and
Of course,
and the things that I've
yeah.
planted. So from seed, the calendula over there, I had planted from seed myself.
But you know, for
And
people like thinking that you know it takes long time and it's just
yes,
like this. It takes time, right?
it
Because
does.
it's you know, but and it takes like commitment,
It
right?
does.
Because you know you watering every day and care and stuff like that, but it's not impossible.
It's not impossible.
And I'm so happy, like you know, more and more in the cities, people have communal gardening and they grow things anywhere they can. And you also do the sharing, like in the you volunteering as well, yeah.
I am volunteering at the Camp Hill in Loch Arthur. So yes, I volunteer in the garden there, and I've wanted to make connections with sort of like-minded people.
Yeah.
I also knew that from my history before that there's one of the Camp Hills that was up in Aberdeen. There was someone there. He used to make his own the herbal remedies. So I assumed all Camp Hills would have that. So I
Wow.
was like, okay, I'm going to go there. I want to make this connection. So yeah. So it's really great. I was lucky that the
Yes,
gardener who's there has actually done courses in herbal medicine.
but
So she's actually interested.
but also like you know how nature can also guide us and connect us.
Yes. Oh,
And you know
yes.
sometimes we share the
Yes.
smile. Sometimes you know you through walking you start making the connections as well.
Yes.
So it's like
Oh, and I'm finding there it's quite amazing as just people
mm-hmm.
because they're all in the garden as well. And when they're talking about their love of whether forests and trees or their love of what they're growing. And so there's this amazing just connection of loving the plants and loving being us.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's just
totally.
amazing.
It's amazing because you know I was in the city. I'm living now in the city, and I came here like today, and I already feel like how it feels different. First, I was like, how quiet it is here. I couldn't believe it that it's so quiet, and you know I don't know if you can see the view. It's you know the it's very yeah like it's very sweet place that Leila you know is living, and she's like also have plans to offer session here, and her studio is like in the process of
Of coming to life.
yeah, how blessed, you know, and I feel like it's very special, special.
Oh, one of the things based on someone who had been a business mentor, and she used to do a monthly energy playtime where it was different therapists who would do work with energy healing and stuff like that, where they could come together and actually have a fun time together. So we're not giving therapy to anyone, but they would share aspects, and like there I did herb tastings for
And
them.
that playfulness, right?
Playfulness. And so that's where, because I've not been working for quite a while, so this is like my intention to connect with the land and get myself back, you know,
Indeed.
on things.
Indeed.
But I thought that this is a space that I would be quite nice to actually create maybe because it's my own space, I could do it more if people
You
are
can do
interested.
anything, my love. This is the beauty.
It could be a weekly, you know, energy playtime of just doing things. So doing a little share, whether it's a meditations or, and, you know, like little angel cards and oracle cards,
Yes,
or
yes.
a bit of dancing,
Of
or it's,
course,
it's just
of course.
whatever sort of.
Sharing, getting together,
Absolutely, and
yes.
just to share that sort of energy and the space, and then if people, also because the plants are here, then they can also be connected and to get to learn about the herbs, herb tasting. So yes, this is my intentions for the space.
And uh, and I hope the land is hearing all the prayers and whispering, and they coming from, as I feel, from very good intention, very humble intention. And I feel like also it's take a courage to step back. I also step back for some time, and I really feel like slowly call back to share the wisdom, my knowledge, and start opening. But also we know when with the time for step back, and also in our culture, when there is we need to be successful. Of course, we need to make living and money and all of that. I'm sorry for disturbing. It will be very interesting video, but we been traveling today as we are travelers. So I'm sorry. I tried to
Do you
adjust
want
the
to put my phone
camera.
underneath? Maybe.
I think that it will be okay. So I feel like this is also very humble, like to say, okay, now I need to go deeper and acknowledge that the places that I need to hear, witness, empower myself more, because we spoke
Absolutely.
about also about empowerment.
Absolutely.
And before we finish, like, what is empowerment for you? How does it make you in the process, of
It's feeling confidence in being who you are and what you're doing, and knowing that even though there's uncertainty in this world, that you are being true to yourself.
be true to yourself?
Absolutely
Yeah.
true to who you are, not to to try and be something for anyone else, to fit in with anyone else. It's yeah. And it's also coming, even though I've gone on a journey where I've had things that I've followed and wanted to do. When life sends such a big knocks, that it can make you doubt yourself and question yourself on things, even though through that there were things I knew was absolutely, I still held on to, and like my rock, my anchor. And yet when you actually feel empowerment, then you actually then go, yeah, no, I have been true, I am still being true, I'm doing this,
I see that. And this is the true authenticity, that we
That's it.
know, because we went through very hard time. We actually, with Leila, we didn't saw each other for a few years,
Yes.
and we didn't talk to each other, and but I feel like we still could feel it, because we know how this shamanic journey, how the healing is big one.
It
It's
is.
sometimes heartbreaking, and sometimes like you're shedding the skin. You are like, it feels like you
Absolutely.
are like you're going through transition of death and becoming back to life. Yeah.
Oh, I took lots of mess when you're saying about shedding skins. It made me think about like a snake shedding its skin,
Yes.
and it just, you think that was like, one of my spirit guides, and actually like my life's journey, things from our initiation, and it's like those little words, even though you don't remember everything, there will be things that stick with you, and there were times where it's all a challenge, and you're just like, when you're faced with something hard, going, okay, this is part of it. This is, I don't know how or what I need to be doing, but I just have to bear with this, that this is part of my journey. Being empowered is also taking responsibility for
Taking
yourself,
responsibility for yourself.
for your actions, for your thoughts. So there are times where you might go, oh, this is out of, this, or this is happening, or whatever, and go, actually, do you know what, sometimes you don't even have to always stand up to someone. You just have to think, sometimes just think it. You can just go, actually, no, I choose this, or I don't, choose this, and that is fine. I'm fine with it. and
embrace like
Absolutely.
the journey, whatever is we call mistakes and stuff, because in our culture we separate joy from pain. Everything is like we put into the boxes, right?
yes,
And we don't feel like enough support in that experiment. And and it's life is
Yeah.
kind of like experiment,
That's
why
it.
we blame each other if we follow our heart and things are not working, and there's like I know understand why they are not working. We can go through blame, or we can
Right.
support somebody, right?
And the other is there's
And
a
support
lot
each
of that,
other.
totally. And there's also a thing of even though you may not remember at the time, it's immediately when you're caught in an emotional sort of turmoil. But it's I have a thing where I end up going a lot of times when I remember when the thoughts come back in is what is it that I've been learning from this, yeah, and what have I learned? What do I need to learn?
So there is a
And
lot of reflections and
lot of
asking questions as well, right?
absolutely, lots, and
Uh-huh.
and then there's just things about. So when you're saying about empowering, I mean that's when you're happy. That there's still uncertainty, but it's like when you're feeling joy to actually go, okay, I'm going to live in this moment, and that's been one of my things that had happened as well. Messages I had on one of my journeys, shamanic journeys, where it was like
To live in the moment.
yes, and it's well being told us to and try and how do you see your future to be, and I was like, oh, I don't know how's my future. What do I focus on? Oh my God, I should be focusing on this. I don't know. Oh no, I wasn't prepared. I don't know what to focus on. And I was panicking in this sort of thing. And then I was like, okay, try and calm down, go there. And with all the things that popped up, I was like, oh, maybe this or maybe that. And ended up this really clear message that came was live your life today as you envision your future to be. So when
Vision your life
I
today.
live your life today.
Let's say it loud.
Yes, and live your life today as you envision your future to be.
To be.
Yes. And
Uh-huh.
there are times, so when there are times that sometimes I end up feeling a bit low and I'm going, or something's happened and I've been dragged and I'm going, I did not choose to, that's not what I choose for my future. That's been stuff that's happened in my past. I don't want that. This is not what my life's going to be. And that's when I then get more empowered, because then I go, I now, no, I'm not going to live that. I'm not going, I'm going to, I don't know, things have happened, but I don't choose that. This is not what I'm choosing for my thing. I need to try. And so I try to bring in
Amazing.
and joy, and to try and have joy in what I'm doing. And
Because there is like so many topics, my love. We are running out
All
of the
the
time,
time.
as always. And I would just, before we finish, I would like to ask you, what does it mean if you think about the medicine woman? How does it resonate with you? What does it represent? And also what is for you? We touched the topic, but many things, like if you think about the medicine for yourself, because there is like medical way explanation, what does it represent?
what is a medicine woman for me?
Yes, for you. What is your connection when you hear a medicine woman? The
Yes.
visions and
Well,
the imagination and
Well, for me,
feeling,
okay,
sensation.
I always, the thing that I have envisioned is a sense of serenity. Serenity.
Serenity. And what does it represent for you?
Serenity is feeling strong and not shaken and not,
So I am strong. That is
well,
embodied.
it's embodiment,
Yeah?
an embodiment of strength, but also calmness.
That wisdom.
So yes, so not feeling shaken by whatever's happening, and that's actually being strong, just a strong woman in that space. I see this almost an earthy, I almost, I don't know, because I would, whether it's not even the African, because I always see almost like a Native American sort of, and I can't, and whether it is, but I have this there's a vision, and so I see strength and and just calmness and
Mhm.
just yeah.
And what has become for you medicine?
What has become my medicine?
Yeah, for now. Or
The
how do you
garden.
the garden?
The garden. Creating and
Creating.
creating in the garden. At the moment, I'm obsessed.
And this is a beautiful obsession.
I'm absolutely obsessed. It's like, yep. It's
Wow.
like I know it can change every day, and it can change each year and each month, but it's just I look and I start getting inspiration, and I have to follow it, even though I'm in the middle of something else.
Addiction. This is addiction, yeah. Wow, Leila, it was absolutely grateful. Like I'm absolutely grateful for being here, for your sharing,
Pleasure.
for the connections, and of
Thank
course
you.
I will share the details here and how as Leila is coming back to be in service and sharing her.
That's it.
That's it.
To be,
That's it.
to be strong in myself again.
Aye.
It is
Mhm.
when you've gone on a journey of having not been able to focus, and brain not even being able to think and of things through. It's really amazing to know when you recognize in yourself that in a sense you're like back to the strength of when you were younger, when you had absolute confidence, that's
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
yourself
yeah.
and in your
Totally.
life and what's your possibilities ahead of you. That you almost, because you don't know what's going to come around the corner, you have no fear, sort of thing. Is
Mhm.
you suddenly can go to a stage where almost fear comes in, because you suddenly feel like time's running out, and like where are you going, and to feel that strength. And then I realized that actually, am I stronger? Yes, I am, because I have this insight and a lot more understanding of myself.
But also, I feel like that joy, that
Yes,
aliveness coming from her.
absolutely.
It's like,
Absolutely. And I just, yeah, I'm sorry, these things keep just popping into my head, which is that a lot of, I had to do a lot of, the wounded child work.
wounded
A lot,
child.
the wounded child, I
Mhm.
had to do a lot of wounded child work. And the thing is, one of the things I had message was a lot was that with the wounded child, that part comes back to you when you have healed and become stronger for that child, that part to come back. So it's almost like for myself, it's almost like I become responsible for looking after those child parts of me that have come back, to show that I can be strong enough and that I can face the challenges.
Yeah, and that
and
child can
and
shine now, shine bright.
that
Yeah.
that, yes, look, we can do this. And so each
Yeah.
time I'm doing so challenge, and I'm like, I'm not doing it just for myself, I'm doing it for those parts of me that I feel a responsibility for.
Wow, this is like we just touched on the end, but it's very big topic, and it's very inspiring, and it's very important to speak about it. Leila, I'm sure that your inner child already is playing in the medicine wheel, because
Well, especially because I've been feeling the sense of wanting to play. I think it's that child
yeah, that
that's why
can
I'm
like
wanting to go mad.
and has that space, and this
Yes.
is the beauty of it.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. I will gonna share details how you can track Leila, how you can meet, and witness her journey as well. I'm just
Well, I've not done any recent videos, because I did some
yes.
of my garden, and I haven't put on for about a month or so.
So
But
maybe this is
Herbal Explorer. So Herbal
yes.
Explorer is what I've posted up a couple bits. But that's just doing stuff about the garden, not so much about myself.
But slowly, I think it's
Yes.
coming together. Wow, we don't want to keep you too long, because it's hard to keep attention.
Absolutely.
So it's time
you won't
to
remember
release
what
you.
I've even covered.
Yeah. And
Yes.
we wish you a beautiful, beautiful day, evening, lots of blessings. We have just kids passing by. As we are on the land, it's a privilege to be here actually and witness the sunset and be and feel the smell of the plants and that peacefulness and it feels like smoothing my soul. And the horse and
Yes.
the sheeps,
Yeah,
lots
I
of
know.
sorts of the plants, so it's all about us. So lots of love, lots of blessing from us to you, and much love and gratitude to this place, to Pachamama, Pachamanita, and protection for this place. So you can do
Absolutely.
whatever what is
Absolutely.
meant to be done, Leila,
Thank
for
you.
your work, business, and with intention, of course, of being in service for the community, and you're doing it. So well done.
Thank you.
Lots of love from us.
Let's go back. That's a nice enthusiasm.
Oh my god. No, nobody will gonna let me use the bitter. This is what's happening, what the playfulness is about. Lots of love. Aho, aho.